Welcome to Coffee, Culture, and the Capitol with Sophia and Greg. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Happy Friday if you're tuning in live. We have a whole bunch of things to chat about with you all today, all kind of focusing on this whole transgender ideology. We are going to talk about it from the local level to the state level to the federal level. There is a lot that has happened just this week, is there not, Greg?
No, there is. It seems like this is a debate we constantly are having. It's constantly being revved up. Now that we have a new federal administration who seems to be on the side of biology determining our gender and sex. California is now in the crosshairs. People are debating these things that we have been talking about forever. Right? Even more than before. And it seems like up here in the Capitol, we have been the ones constantly bringing this up, probably at nauseum for some of the legislators. But I'm sorry, this is one of the most basic realities of the universe. The human beings are male and female, and that's determined by our biology. There's that kind of reality is the basis of the foundation of culture and society. And so we're not giving up on it, and we need to talk about this more. We got to stop kowtowing to what our legislators are telling us. And so I know, Sophia, you have jumped into the Lion's Den again this week. You were on TV, and then yesterday you went to a school board meeting in Riverside where boys in girls sports controversy is erupting. There's talk of swastikas and lawsuits and kids saying, I don't want boys in the locker room, kids losing spots on a cross-country team. So why don't you fill in what's this controversy happening over in Riverside?
Yes, absolutely. There is so much going on. And like you said, Greg, I went down to that school board meeting. And just for everyone listening, if you have this issue happening at your district to your children, please reach out. We are happy to help. We are happy to go make a stance. We're happy to get you connected with the right attorneys, with the right people, and to really push back and make a stand. But yes, last night I went to the Riverside Unified School Board meeting. I received word earlier this week that there is a boy on the cross-country team at Martin Luther King High School, which is in the Riverside Unified School District. That's RUSD. And that's actually a school that I played soccer against when I was in high school. They weren't directly in my high school league, but they're only about 30 minutes from where I grew up. And so we would play them in tournaments or preseason. And so I was familiar with the school. The school has kind of had some issues in the past. Last year, a giant story broke out from Martin Luther King High School that there was a male that identified as a girl that was literally physically beating up girls on campus. And they have it on video, and the parents went to the school board. So again, another issue coming from the school. And this boy is on the cross-country team, the girls' team. That's issue enough alone. If that was the only thing that happened in this situation, that there is a boy on the girls' team, that is enough of a problem to take a stand, to make a difference. But there's more now that's happened here. There's actually two girls on the team. One is a freshman in high school, which breaks my heart that a 14-year-old girl, a freshman in high school, is dealing with this. The other is a junior. Their names are Taylor and Caitlin, and they actually just filed a lawsuit this week against the school district because their school is violating Title IX, but also because their school went after their freedom of speech. So these girls are not happy that there is a boy on their team. The boy doesn't show up to practice, and yet he is still allowed to compete, which, according to the girls, the coach has made very clear that if you are going to compete, if you are going to get a spot to compete, if you're going to be on varsity, you're supposed to be attending practice. You have to hit these certain requirements. To which the girls have now let us know that the boy is not hitting these requirements, and one of the girls has actually lost her spot to him. And so they're losing out on fair opportunities. They're losing out on fair spaces. So they decided to kind of make a stand. These two girls wore to practice shirts that said "Save Girls Sports" on the front, and the back said, "It's common sense. XX does not equal XY." One, the boy wasn't even at the practice that they wore these short shirts to because he doesn't show up to practices. Two, the girl stated that he goes and wears his trans pride bracelets. And so they figured if he's going to make a stance on his feelings and values, why can't we? They wore these shirts. The athletic director then called them into the office, told them they had to change, to which one of the girls, Taylor, literally asked the athletic director, why do we have to change? Because the boy is allowed to wear his trans pride stuff. Why can't we wear our Save Women's Sports stuff?
Right.
The athletic director told them that what they are doing is equivalent to wearing a swastika sign in front of a Jewish student.
That is so horrendous. To accuse them equating what they're doing to a guy who is killing people by the millions, promoting that, to simply saying what's the most obvious fact that no one used to dispute, right? That girls are girls and boys are boys, right? And that is actually the same thing as murdering someone, right? And I'm sure they're going to say, well, that's going to make this guy depressed and he could kill himself because transgender identified people have a high suicide rate. Folks, if someone kills themselves because they hear a viewpoint they disagree with, something is not wrong with the person giving the message. Something is wrong with the person who is so fragile that they would kill themselves because they find out someone doesn't agree with their chosen lifestyle. So it's like, that's what, isn't that the very definition of gaslighting?
Yep, absolutely. And it's, like you said, it's beyond heartbreaking that these young girls are being equated to Hitler and the Holocaust and the swastika sign. Like, because the girls want fair and safe sports, I mean, it's beyond appalling. So they officially filed this lawsuit this past Wednesday. So glad they did that. I'm so glad they're standing up for their freedom of speech. I'm so glad they're standing up for Title IX and the protection of sports. So all this is kind of playing out. And then there was that school board meeting last night. And so a couple parents reached out to me. I was able to make it down there and let the school board know that they are held responsible for this, that they aren't doing anything, and they better be prepared for this lawsuit because I truly believe they're going to lose. These girls will prevail, especially on the freedom of speech side. This is an evident violation of their First Amendment right. And so I have a little clip from last night. I do want to preface the clip because I've already gotten some hate on social media for this. I said when I mentioned the Holocaust, while I'm doing it, you have 2 minutes to speak and it's fast. Like, you have to get all the points in. So I messed up my words and I said 17 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. I wrote down 6 to 7. That is what I meant to say. So I'm prefacing that now so you all know that I do know accurate history. That it kind of frustrated me that some people are attacking me on social media about that. And I'm like, that's what you took out of this entire speech, that I messed up all my words because you have to fit so much in 2 minutes. To which also, that school district allows you to speak for 3 minutes. And the president of the school board, cut it down to 2 minutes right before we spoke because he didn't want us to have 3 full minutes. So I was trying to squeeze everything in. But anyways, with that, let's check out that clip.
My name is Sophia Laurie, and I'm a former collegiate athlete. Hearing the stories of what the girls at MLK High School have been put through is beyond disturbing. Taylor and Caitlin simply wore shirts that read "Save Girls Sports. It's common sense. XX does not equal XY." A stand that 2 young girls should have not had to even take. Yet when the adults fail them, when their athletic director refuses to stand up for them, and when the school board neglects their duty to protect them, what other choice do they have? They exercise their First Amendment right. Then the athletic director, Amanda Chan, censored their freedom of speech. I have a little experience with my freedom of speech being violated. Just this year, I won a freedom of speech lawsuit because a government official thought he had the ability to violate my First Amendment right for saying men don't belong in women's sports. So board, be prepared for this lawsuit because the girls will prevail. Taylor asked, why can't the boy on the girls' team wear his trans pride bracelet, but she can't wear her Save Girls Sports shirt? Chan informed her that wearing the Save Girls Sports shirt with a boy on their team was equivalent to wearing a swastikas in front of a Jewish student. This is appalling. The athletic director directly compared the girls' speech to the horrendous killing of 17 million Jews. In what world is it appropriate to correlate girls who just want to have fair and safe sports with a symbol that represents the mass murder of Jews? The athletic director actions warrant immediate reprimand and accountability. So RUSD, let's make this clear. By allowing boys and girls sports, you are telling every girl that the feelings of boys are more important than her safety, her ability to be an athlete, and for her privacy in a locker room. It's time you follow the science. Biology is not bigotry. Physiological reality is undeniable. And no matter how hard females work, males are statistically faster and stronger. Yet you have thrown the protection of safety and rights of girls out the door. Your district is violating Title IX. We will not remain silent while this happens, and I'm looking forward to the girls winning their cases and getting girls' sports back to girls' sports only. Do your job, protect girls, don't be held.
Good for you. And more people need to do that, right? I mean, you're stating the obvious, and this is only happening because people are putting up with these policies, not saying anything, thinking, well, I have no choice. I just better go along to get along. Right? We're all denying reality. And you know what? If this becomes normalized, girls' sports is over.
Yeah.
Every coach is going to find the binary guy, right? Somebody who's same sex, opposite. He's attracted to two sexes. That counts, right? And so girls' sports will be over. Every coach is going to recruit men to their sports teams. And we all know why we separate women and men in sports. Like, why do we have girls' sports at all? Why don't we just have everybody together? Well, everybody knows the reason. Because women's bodies are different than men's. Mm-hmm. It's not fair. And so every girl has a right to have sporting events with girls. And we are robbing of them of that right by letting guys who identify as girls onto the team. It's just that simple.
Absolutely. It's beyond disturbing. It's disgusting. There was quite a few parents and local parents that came and spoke up last night, and they all did a phenomenal job and beyond proud of all of them. One of them did use the term transgender girl and cisgender girl while she was speaking, which I'm proud that she was willing to come up and make a stand. But I just want to encourage all of you that are listening, let's use the correct terms. Let's use terms based off biology. It is a boy and it is a girl. We don't need to start calling girls cisgender girls and boys that are confused and think they're girls transgender girls. We need to just cut it straight. We need to stop using the language of the other side that's pushing the transgender ideology. So call it what it is. We don't need to say biological girl. We don't need to say biological boy because there's no other option. You are just a boy or a girl. You're not by saying you're a biological girl is allowing doors for there to be other kinds of girls. So let's just call it what it is. But with that, not only was there other parents that came and gave a 2-minute statement, one of the runners on the cross country team, she's not one of the ones that's in the lawsuit, but she is 16 years old. She's on the cross country team there at MLK High School with this boy. And so their season's basically over. Cross country is a fall sport. So she had to endure this whole season, and she came and spoke, and I got to talk with her after, and she didn't prepare a speech. She wasn't planning on doing this. It was a last minute thing. She was literally sitting at home and saw some social media posts about this and was like, I need to go say something and speak up about this. And so I'm going to play her clip for you guys all to see. This clip is on our Instagram page. It's on Twitter. Please reshare. I mean, this is one of the most, I was so impressed by this girl. So let's just get to it.
Hello. I'm a student at Martin Luther King High School, and I run on the cross country team. So I'm constantly affected by these actions that have taken place this season. And I have been around the females and just my team in general who have felt almost silenced to speak out about it because the whole LGBTQ is shoved down our throats, it is put in our face, and we live in a society where it is almost impossible to speak out on it without facing the repercussions of it. And I went myself to have a discussion with the head of the athletic director when nobody really felt comfortable enough to speak out, And I don't think it's fair, knowing Caitlin and knowing Taylor, to see their spots getting taken away, to see all these things being jeopardized for one person. It feels as though that my school and the school district is choosing to support one person instead of the whole team and the whole school as a total. Like, it's not fair. It's not okay. I try my best not to put personal beliefs into it, but seeing this first-handedly, seeing my teammates getting their spots taken for one person that's choosing to be a girl, it's not okay. I've done my research. I've looked into the CIF rules, and I've looked into the NCAA rules, two completely different things. And when I went into this meeting with the athletic director, I knew that. I knew that going into it, that teachers and coaches and people in the office can't speak on personal opinion. And then to see the athletic director turn around and tell my teammates that their shirts that say "Save Girls Sports" be compared to a swastika, that is not okay. These girls feel silenced, they felt silenced, and when they finally spoke out and did something to go against it and speak out, not directed towards a single person at all, they were completely stabbed in the back by the person that we were told would support us and be able to help us through this. They said that it was a hate crime, that they were targeting that one person, and that is not the case at all. Taylor and Caitlin are two of the most nice people I've ever met in my life, and to see them having to be told that they're being hateful people is not okay. And it is not okay that I have to be in a position where I'm going to practice and having to see a male in booty shorts and having to see that around me. As a 16-year-old girl, I don't find that as a safe environment. I don't at all. And going into a locker room and seeing males in there, I don't find that safe. I don't find going to the bathroom safe when there's guys in there. It's not okay. I'm a 16-year-old girl. There's girls around me where we do not feel safe having boys in our environment. And it isn't okay. It isn't okay to have them on our team. It isn't okay when it's the genetics.
So she did phenomenal. I mean, like, I'm just so proud and impressed by her. And I know there's so many other female athletes that feel the same way and are too scared to speak up or say anything. And it breaks my heart that young girls have to speak up and say something and put themselves in a situation to potentially lose friends or receive hate. But it's time to stand up. It's time to speak out. And I'm beyond proud of her for taking a stance. But she's absolutely right. She shouldn't have to be in a locker room with a male. She shouldn't be uncomfortable because of a male. She said she did her research. She looked in the CIF rules, the NCAA rules, all these things. And so she had to speak up for herself because the adults aren't doing it in her school district. And so that's why I even want to more so encourage you adults that are listening. Speak up, be bold, because how can we expect things to change if we don't? How do we expect young kids to stand up for themselves if we don't? I mean, she's 16 years old. When I was 16 years old, thinking about sports, my main focus was, how can I train harder? What can I do to become a college athlete? Her main focus is, what can I do to figure out how to get a man out of my locker room from changing with me? I was 16 8 years ago. This is only an 8-year difference, and look how things have changed. So adults, speak up, be bold. We need to stop being afraid of what people are going to think of us, because if we're too afraid to say anything because of what people might think of us, your kids, your grandkids aren't going to have the same America, the same freedoms that you grew up having. So that's my little soapbox.
And you see their tactics, right? I mean, what kind of tactic is to call somebody your message means you're a Nazi? Okay, that's not a debate. That's simply, I'm going to accuse you of the worst thing possible, so you will stop. You'll be so ashamed you will not speak anymore, right? And so that's their topic. And now the other way they do this, and they've done this to politicians, is this: if you speak up and you disagree, you simply say that biology determines gender. You are going to cause a kid who is identifying as transgender to kill themselves. Kids are going to kill themselves if we don't go along with it, right? That's another type of horrific lie. Something is wrong with the person who feels so insecure about their own identity that they would kill themselves if someone disagrees with them. I mean, you can't even live in society to have your own belief systems, to have your own religion, to have your own political views. If you consider someone who disagrees with you so psychologically damaging that you will kill yourself, right? Something is wrong, right? And we should be trying to help these kids be resilient, find out maybe being trans, acting and pretending to be the opposite sex is what's causing kids to be suicidal, right? Imagine the drugs you're taking. Imagine you're fighting against your own biology. Imagine, the internal turmoil you're in. I mean, I know some kids say it's the best thing ever, but that's not everybody's experience. A lot of kids, it only makes it worse, right? And we have an example. I know we can move on to the next topic here, but here up in Sacramento, our Sacramento Bee, which is the paper of record that everybody watches, is on the tirade against anyone who would oppose the transgender ideology, right? And you know that we have been pushing for parents to be involved in the lives of their kids, and how schools, as a matter of policy and pushed by the Department of Ed here in California, have told schools that if kids transition to a new gender at school with a new name and pronoun, that choice needs to be kept secret from the parents. That's what the Department of Ed's been telling school districts. So we've been pushing not privacy policies. We've been pushing parent notification policies, which simply say if a kid has changed their name and pronoun at school, to everybody knows about it, the parent should be notified. Parents should not be kept in the dark about a kid who is struggling with their gender and wants to change it. But this editorial was put out, right, talking about how there has been some trans kids in a conservative district up here in California that have killed themselves, right? It even says here, which I'm not disputing these facts, a 2020 study from the National Institute of Health cited data showing that 82% of transgender individuals have considered suicide and 40% have attempted it. I'm not disputing that kids like this are really struggling. But what is the solution, right? That is the question. The government has said the only way to help a kid who's struggling, thinking he's a different gender, is to go along with them and say, you're right. You are a different gender and your body is all wrong. You need to transform your body. We're going to cut off your healthy breasts. We're going to, sterilize you with puberty blockers, which stop your normal development. And we're going to give you opposite sex hormones. That is our solution to your mental struggle. And we are simply saying, no. This makes everything worse, right? You're making the kid a medical patient for his entire life. And you're destroying his body, ruining his ability to have sexual feeling. It screws you up. It messes up your brain, your bones, all kinds of side effects, right? And we are not encouraging these kids who are struggling to commit suicide by not going along with the treatment that the government is offering, right? But this editorial goes on to say there's actually a pastor that's been saying, his name is Pastor Casey Tenen of Loomis Basin Congregational United Church of Christ, who've said, we haven't been losing kids for a long time to suicide, but now that's changing because parents want to be involved in the lives of their kids. They don't want this secret transitioning. All this talk, it must be the reason the kids are committing suicide, right? Even with the federal government now changing hands, we have a Trump administration. He's starting to speak out against this transitioning of kids. He's called this editorial says this transphobia was weaponized, right? And it's all being framed. I'm writing here. Targeting trans and non-binary youth have been framed as battles to preserve parental rights. Like we came up with, we hate the idea that we hate trans kids or kids that are struggling. And so we got this parental rights mantra we came up with to frame the argument. Folks, okay, so then it also goes on talking about how Governor Newsom signed AB 1955, which bans schools from having these parental notification policies. That just passed. And then he says he calls out a particular legislator in Placer County, including Assemblyman Joe Patterson and school board members who fought against AB 1955 because they feel parents should be notified in such circumstances. And then it says reasonable people can disagree, but as the National Institute of Health study and others demonstrate, some trans youth are rejected and demonized in their homes. And that means, in certain instances, alerting the parents is the swiftest way to put a trans youth in danger, right? So because there could be a parent out there who would react badly, everybody's parental rights are being removed, right? This is called gaslighting. This is, and Joe Patterson, as you can see here in a tweet, right as soon as this came out, was very upset, right?
Yes. And if you're just listening on the podcast platforms and not watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, I always recommend hopping up over to one of those to watch it because we put a lot on the screens. But if you're just listening, this is what Assemblymember Joe Patterson tweeted out about this. He said, today the SACB News published an editorial by an editorial writer, Hannah Holzer. She's been ridiculous for years, but she managed to make an attempt to connect my policy views with the suicide of children, despite saying in the same piece that, in quotes, we don't know the circumstances, end quote. That led to such suicides. I'm absolutely blown away and disgusted that SACB Edit Board would even allow this to run. It's hurtful, hateful, and absolutely complete, utter BS. For the past couple of years, I've developed relationships with B reports, opinion writers, editors, etc. Heck, they even endorsed me. They know I'm a serious legislator. But to connect me to suicide of children or even mentioning my name in the same platitude is absolutely aberrant. I don't think there is much I can do about it because I respect many folks that work there. I just can't believe that got past the editors. I'm not sure if I can support the paper in any form or fashion. I'm still processing. It's shameful, dangerous, divisive.
Right. And when you accuse someone like us or a legislator for simply thinking that parents should be involved in the lives of their children, even when they disagree with their children's choices, they should still be involved. Kids deserve the protection of their parents. Kids deserve their parents' involvement in their lives. The school should not be getting in the way. And when you accuse a legislator like Joe Patterson of encouraging suicide with a policy, that's not a debate. That is simply shaming, right? We are going to accuse you of the worst thing we can think of to make you be quiet, to make no one come to your defense, right? It's unbelievable that even advocating that kids have a right to be protected by their mom and dad is controversial, right? Parents and kids should be working together. We should be encouraging the relationship. We should not be advocating for secrets between them. The government should not get in between a parent and a kid simply because they have a disagreement over gender identity, right? It's utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely. It's horrible. It's disgusting. But that's not the only thing SACB decided to talk about on this issue this week. If you are watching on the screen, you'll see a SACB article that says, on the Transgender Day of Remembrance, the House Speaker issued a trans bathroom ban. Ooh, I have so many issues with just the headline alone. So what is going on? If you are on social media, you have probably seen this week that Congresswoman Nancy Mace, she's not from California, but she's a congressman, so this is on the federal level. She introduced this whole bill and resolution that on Capitol Hill, only women should be in women's bathrooms. It's as simple as that. She simply said that women only should be in women-only restrooms. And here's the thing about Capitol Hill. There are men's restrooms, there are women's restrooms, and there's also a couple single stall restrooms. Like, you know, when you see the family restroom and it's just one bathroom in there. Okay, if someone thinks they should be in the women's restroom because they think they're a woman but they're a man, go use that single stall restroom. Also, every single representative up on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. has their own restroom. So go use your own restroom if you have an issue with the fact that a man isn't allowed in the restroom. So this whole title saying, on Transgender Day of Remembrance, the House Speaker issued a trans bathroom ban. No, the House Speaker issued that only women can go into women's bathrooms. And you can actually see here on the screen this statement that Speaker Mike Johnson made. And it says, Speaker Johnson issued the following statement regarding the use of single-sex facilities throughout the U.S. Capitol complex. All single-sex facilities in the Capitol and House office buildings, such as restrooms, changing rooms, and locker rooms, are reserved for individuals of that biological sex. It is important to note that each member office has its own private restroom, and unisex restrooms are available throughout the Capitol. Women deserve women-only spaces. So the SACB obviously has an issue with that women deserve these women-only spaces. But you might be wondering, why is this all going on? Well, there was a man elected into office. So, okay, another man is elected into office. What's the big deal with that? Well, this man thinks he is a woman, and he identifies as a woman and dresses like a woman and goes by Congresswoman. He is a man. It's Congressman McBride. He is from Delaware. And so everyone's saying Nancy Mace, when this congresswoman put out this idea that only women should have women's spaces, and when Speaker Johnson affirmed that, everyone says they're directly targeting him. No, they've just now put in a situation that they have to protect women-only spaces. So this is kind of like what made me laugh about this whole thing is Congressman McBride ended up putting out a statement, and you can see it on the screen here. And the statement says, so again, this is the man that identifies as a woman. And so he said, I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for Delawareans and bring down the costs facing families. Like all members, I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. The effort to distract from the real issues facing this country hasn't distracted me over the last several days, as I've remained hard at work preparing to represent the greatest state in the union come January. Serving in the 119th Congress will be the honor of a lifetime, and I continue to look forward to getting to know my future colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Each of us were sent here because voters saw something in us that they value. I have loved getting to see those qualities in the future colleagues that I've met, and I look forward to seeing those qualities in every member come January. I hope all my colleagues will seek to do the same with me. So he put out this whole statement that he didn't get elected and he's not at the Capitol in D.C. to fight about bathrooms. Yet, literally a post from him from a couple years ago is a selfie of him in a women's restroom. So again, he posted this, a selfie in a women's restroom, and it says, here I am using a women's restroom in North Carolina that I'm technically barred from being in. They say I'm a pervert. They say I'm a man just as a woman. They say I'm a threat to their children. They say I'm confused. They say I'm dangerous. And they say accepting me as the person I fought my life to be seen as reflects the downfall of a once great nation. I'm just a person. We're all just people trying to be in peace, trying to live our lives as fully and as authentically as possible. So tell me how you're not there to fight about bathrooms, even though you have pictures of you in the past fighting about bathrooms. And also, I'm sorry, as a woman, I've never had to take a picture of myself in a woman's restroom and tell people why I deserve to be in there. Only men have to prove and make a big statement about deserving to be in women's bathrooms. And so the fact that he took a selfie alone in the restroom just to say, like, I have the right to be here, it's beyond disturbing. Women deserve women-only spaces. Women are safer with their women-only spaces. And men deserve their spaces only, too. I don't believe women should be in men's restrooms and things like that either. We have, as we've talked about multiple times already on this episode, we have these single-sex facilities for a reason. But yeah, this is just, again, another thing that is beyond disturbing. Could you imagine our founding fathers having to read that? Our founding fathers are probably rolling over their graves. Like, if they, like, all of a sudden had to read something that said, like, Congress is working on something to push that only women are allowed in women's restrooms, they would be like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean this transgender person that identifies as something else thinks they can be in these other spaces? I mean, it's just completely illogical.
And you're probably thinking, what's it like in California in their capital? Well, I used to work in the various offices in the state capitol. Was on staff for an assembly member and a senator. And currently, the office building that I used to work in is torn down, and they're rebuilding another one that's attached to the Capitol. But before it was torn down, get this: the bathrooms that were for the legislators, women had locks on them. You had to have a combination to get in. Now, why is that? The men bathrooms did not. Why is that? What is it about the bathrooms in the Capitol you needed to protect women from? You're protecting them from men, right? Other men that would be wandering around trying to do nefarious things. And then in the Capitol building itself, if you go inside the Capitol building, they have bathrooms on the bottom floor on each side. And they used to have male and female bathrooms, but this is the new thing. They're not just allowing men to go into women's bathrooms. They're actually changing multi-stall bathrooms into all gender bathrooms. So what they did, they took the women's bathroom and they changed the sign and said anyone can go into this bathroom, right? And so it was always interesting to all these kids would come to the Capitol for their fourth grade tour, their fifth grade tour, and they would all have to do a bathroom break. And you wouldn't imagine all the screaming and chaos ensued as the boys poured into the boys' bathroom, but they were also pouring into the all-girls bathroom that the girls were in, right? And you think if you're a pervert looking to get, or a pedophile trying to get close to young girls in a confined space where they're in some state of undress, where do you go? Well, you go to the all-gender bathroom, right? Where you can go in there and hang out and wait for little girls to come in. That's what we've done. And so now they have all gender multi-stall bathrooms at the state capitol that any men can hang out in and wait for their victims. And so this is just idiocy.
Absolutely. And ladies, if you are in a restroom and a man, doesn't matter if he's a man dressed like a man or a man dressed like a woman in a dress and all that, walks in, make him feel bad about being in there. I'm not saying attack the man, but I'm saying make it clear and let him know that he does not belong in that space. Because think about it, if it wasn't you in the restroom, but you were at a public park and instead it's your 4-year-old daughter in the restroom or 4-year-old granddaughter in the restroom, and you trust that they should be able to just go into the women's restroom and be okay. And then there's a man in there. So let's not put up with this. Let's not be okay with this. But also, I want to show a clip from, again, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who kind of brought this whole idea up at the Capitol this week. She has doubled down. She has posted some of the threats, the voicemail threats that they received that I don't even feel comfortable playing on this podcast because we'd have to bleep out every other word because it's just cuss word after cuss word and horrible things. But literally her and her staff are receiving messages telling them to go kill themselves because they don't want men in women's restrooms, cussing them out, attacking them. So it's happening left and right. She is standing strong on this issue. And so I want to show a clip of when a reporter kind of tried to call her out on some things and how strong she stood on the fact that men and women should have separate spaces.
And just before you start, she has introduced a bill, if I understand right, that would mandate that bathrooms in all federal facilities are separated by biological sex, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
that's going to affect California too.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first bill that she introduced was solely about Capitol Hill. The second bill that she's introduced, like Greg said, it states in that bill that women will have protected spaces in federal buildings. So yeah, that would affect California too. So she is holding the line on this.
The question is, with your piece of legislation about banning women from using...
100% yes.
My question to you is...
And it doesn't go far enough. I'll be filing more bills.
You have said that it was created in response to Congresswoman-elect McBride.
100%.
But should legislation be created targeted at one specific person?
It doesn't mention anyone in the legislation, but
you've said it was aimed at her.
No, I have said it's a result of this. I'm not going to allow biological men into women's private spaces. I will stand in the brink and stand in the way of anyone on the radical left who thinks that it's okay for a penis to be in a women's locker room or a bathroom or a changing room. Hell no. I am not going to stand for it. And the Speaker said it would be in the House rules package. If it's not, I'll be ready with a motion, a privileged motion to force a vote on this. This is not okay. I'm a survivor of rape. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. And I'm not going to allow any man in any female private spaces.
Now, Speaker.
End of story. And by the way, I'm getting death threats from men pretending to be women. Why is it that these crazy people, the insanity, the radical left, are willing to kill women over a man's right to be in a women's restroom?
Speaker Johnson has said he wants to treat every new member with the words dignity and respect. Forcing this congressperson to go into a male restroom, is that dignity and respect?
Forcing women to share private spaces with men is not dignity and not respect. And I'm absolutely going to stand in the way of anyone who thinks it's okay for a man to be in our locker room, in our changing rooms, in our dressing rooms, in women's bathrooms. And in fact, if you agree with that, you're crazy, because that's not okay. It's not okay.
Congresswoman,
Thank you, Congresswoman. We're going to peel away from this conversation, Kira. So a little bit of the context of what we were just talking about, and I'm going to have my cameraman step out of the active driveway here, was that Nancy Mace put forward this piece of legislation. It was aimed, she said, although the name is not in the legislation, at a new member of Congress, Sarah McBride of Delaware, who is a transgender woman. She has said that the legislation would...
So again, right there, that news reporter tries to say it's aimed at one person. No, there is now just a legislator that wants to be in the women's restroom, even though he is a man, or a congressman that wants to be in the women's restroom, even though he's a man. But this is because this is happening all over the place. And so things need to get put in place. And even if it is just one person is one person too many. One man and a woman.
Once you allow one person, everybody is going to do it. I mean, think about what's happening in California. It was back in 2012 where California passed a law allowing males into female locker rooms, showers, and sports teams back then. And everybody thought, this is not going to happen. This is going to be a rare instance. How many people actually identify as transgender, right? Well, it was a teeny part of, but once they put it in the curriculum, you have more and more people not just identifying as transgender, but bisexual. Now, a bisexual person who's attracted to both sexes, they get to use whatever bathroom they want either. Actually, anyone really can use whatever bathroom they want. They just say, hey, I'm not attracted to the opposite sex. Therefore, I'm one of the LGBT groups, and I should be able to use the bathroom where I feel more comfortable. The school can't do anything when they do that. The law was passed. There was actually a recall, we tried to gain signatures. Capital Resource Institute with Karen England, and a bunch of other groups tried to put a recall petition together, gather signatures, and they ended up throwing a bunch of signatures out, and it didn't get on the ballot. And now we're paying now we're actually seeing the results. So maybe people's opinions are changing when they realize, no, this is going to affect not just a little minority of kids. No, this is going to affect every single school, because everybody knows schools have more and more people identifying as something other than male or female, or they're not identifying as their own sex anymore. It is a popular thing to do. It's cheered on by the schools and safe space places and all the curriculum and the government. You become a hero if you identify based on your feelings and not on your biology. So folks, I hope that opinions are now changing. We're now seeing the results of something we could have stopped a long time ago, but I guess it's better late than never.
Yes. And so, again, if you are facing this at your school district, if your children are facing this, anything like that, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. You can reach out to us on our website. The email is there. Phone number is there. But we are ready to help. We are ready to expose the evil. And I truly believe we're going to see a change in this. I believe we're going to see women's spaces back to women's spaces only, men's spaces back to men's spaces only. I think we're going to see a win in this, but it's not going to happen right away. So we're going to be here. We're going to be pushing back. We're going to be here reporting and letting you guys know what is going on. It is November right now, but the start of the next legislative session, we have a special session in December. And once January hits, the ground is running on a new session. So be prepared, be ready, start getting familiar with our social media. Sign up for our newsletter at californiafamily.org so you get a once-a-week email about what's happening in California. We'll email you directly about if your legislator, not just one of the random legislators, if your legislator did something that's not good, we will let you know. So it is time to get ready. It's time to get informed. Start doing research on who your legislators are. Again, you can figure that all out on our website. Start sharing stuff, because once January hits, we're going to be hitting the ground running. There's going to be 2,000 new bills introduced. We're going to be going through them, figuring out which ones are affecting our values. We're going to be keeping you informed, and we're going to need you guys to help us. We are here to let you know, inform you, get you all the information as easily as possible. We need your help to call your legislators, to use your voice, show up to the Capitol, show up to your legislator's district office, get involved. So you have now a month to get familiar with everything going on, get familiar with our website, our social media, and get ready to push back, because this whole transgender ideology is not going away in California soon because of our elected officials. So we have to be ready to stand for what's true, stand for what's right. And it's as simple as saying males and females are different. You are born male or you are born female, and there was no mistake in the way you were made. So with that, Greg, do you have any closing words?
No. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you for next week. Despite all the craziness, thank God we live in a country where we can still push back. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of religion. And when the culture goes awry, we can right the ship, folks. No more hopelessness in California. It's sinful to be hopeless, right? We have a God who seeks for us to turn to Him in impossible situations, and and depend on Him, and to use you to be a salt and light in your culture. You're in California for a reason. It's no mistake. So speak up.
Yes, and we will see you all next time.